This video contains dragons, but we'll get to that later. There's an era of Magic I missed. On January 18th, 2016, Splinter Twin was banned in Modern, putting an end to the iconic combo. I was firmly with the fishes at the time, so thought nothing of it, but through Cube I found myself playing this simple combo here and there and finally decided I wanted to do this in Commander. I'd never played any combo deck in any constructed format. At times in my life, I'd even derided them as something I'd never do. But of course, we all change. The combo is simple. You enchant your creature like Deceiver Exarch with Splinter Twin, then you can tap the Exarch for a copy of itself with haste. This copy untaps the enchanted Exarch, and thus you have infinite hasty attackers. You can mix and match which combo pieces you play, but the end result is largely the same. Infinite damage. It's easy to interact with. A single Swords to Plowshares, a Ghostly Prison, or even a Rakdos Charm can spell the end of your plans. But after much back and forth, I decided I wanted to build the deck, which meant the hunt for a commander. I wanted to be Jeskai, as while the core is red and blue, white gives access to Restoration Angel and Kiki-Jiki as another possible combo, Recruiter of the Guard to tutor for pieces alongside Recruiter, and all in all makes up a core of cards we want the rest of the deck to work around. Alongside that, I wanted to try playing a more controlling shell. You can never fully control a 4-player game, but with a few board wipes, counterspells, and white's efficient interaction, we can buy time to make our combo come together. Of course, we need some mana ramp as well, because what EDH deck doesn't want a pile of rocks sitting around? Well, a fair few, but as you'll see, this deck makes especially good use of them later on, but this leaves us with about 23 slots in our deck to seek a commander that fits everything else we're trying to do. But the options aren't endless, and taking to EDH rec, many of the top choices in Jeskai didn't seem like a good fit. Jeskai's commanders love getting benefits from spellcasting, and while our controlling shell would be casting a few of these, none of the obvious spell slingers fit. Elsha and Kaikar have their own infinite combos that are easier than what we're trying to do and are probably more powerful, but that isn't the point. Narset is the queen of free spells, but again, we want interaction and combo pieces, and neither of these Narset really helps with. Primakion is the most amusing one I stumbled across, as this actually kills our combo rather than enabling it. Dynahair looked tempting as she can give our Splinter Twin copies haste, but we don't have many other abilities we want to copy. But finally, while scrolling, the answer dawned on me. Dragons! See, with this deck, we're digging for two specific pieces in a 100-card deck, not an easy feat. Zurgo and Ojutai look like the perfect card to fill this gap. It can give us a free impulse on combat damage, letting us amass our combo, hit land drops, and find that interaction we need. It has hexproof for a turn, making interaction initially much harder, and can bounce your own dragons should you wish to, say, wipe the board. It all fits together perfectly, while encouraging us to have a bunch of cheaper dragons on the board first, so we can draw multiple cards for turn Ojutai comes into play. If we have 2 of the dragons on the board and hit with each twice, not too hard a feat for flyers over 2 turns, we see a fifth of our remaining deck. This was it. So I searched high and low for many dragons you don't typically play. See, Jeskai has a lot of big, scary dragons, but ideally, we wanted to ramp spell turn 2, play a 4-cost dragon turn 3, then slam Zurgo and impulse twice immediately. So all our dragons need to cost 4 or less, which gives rise to some much more interesting option commander decks don't usually see. Sure, Galazeth and Atsushi see plenty of play, but beyond that, did you know there's a dragon that goes infinite with Splinter Twin? Nimbleclaw Adept reminds you it exists while also being able to draw cards with Zurgo if we can get an attack in. Swashbuckler ramps us and can draw a card if a 2/2 can get through, but instead can also just give Zurgo Double Strike, which is de facto another dragon because you draw an extra card. The same can be said for Sylvia Brightspear and Duelist Heritage, which act as honorary dragons in this deck due to Double Strike. Hellkite and Chaos are large, so we can likely get in with them easily. Devastator and Sprite only cost 2 mana, and Sarkhan and Leyline can ramp us up, while, still being dragons. There's not a ton of dragons in this deck, but enough to get a few hits in and do what we came here to do. In addition, it gives our deck a great plan B. Flying dragons compress your life totals pretty well in any case, and let us play a normal game if the combo isn't coming together. Finally, I want to call out Sneak Attack as the perfect card for this deck. Normally you might use this to put in boring Eldrazi, but here with Zurgo it's much cuter. We pay 1 mana for a dragon, it attacks to draw a card, then we can return it to our hand before it dies. And this pulls double duty with our combo, gives creatures haste and makes them very cheap, so with just an Imperial Recruiter in hand we can put it into play, search for Kiki-Jiki, put it into play, copy the Recruiter, find Pestermite, put it into play, untap Kiki Cheeky, and win. We want to play the controlling game to be able to combo off with mana up, and this is a great way to do it.
Speaking of that interaction, there's a lot of what you'd expect with an emphasis on board wipes. Zurgo can bounce our dragons before board wipes so they don't die, and ultimately our combo can be deployed on an end step with flash, so board wipes suit our deck just fine. Promise of Loyalty is a personal favourite that can definitely backfire if an opponent's threat doesn't need to attack, but it's just fun, so I play it in most white decks. I also like interaction that can affect each player but more targeted. Grasp of Fate and Unexplained Absence interact with each opponent, and Trial of the Time Lord is rarely played, but it can exile a commander and threaten to do it again for free next turn if they don't choose to leave it in exile, which against commander-centric decks can bide a lot of time. Beyond that, we have the standard counterspell suite with Invert Polarity for a bit of fun, and a standard selection of single target removal, including Lightning Bolt, which has constantly impressed in my games and even killed people once or twice. Dak Vaden has started to slot into a lot of my decks now that it's around $5, as my favourite way to deal with a problem is to make it everyone else's problem. Alternatively, on turn 3 stealing a mana rock is a fairly reasonable play if you don't mind making an enemy. And just casting Teferi makes enemies, but there's no better combo protection. Our mana base is fairly standard, but rocks are at a higher premium in this deck, as often anticipating into a rock or a land early on is what we need to chain together spells effectively, or just get on turn 2 to get the ball rolling. However, I still enjoy a half dozen spell lands for extra utility, and cards that grant us no maximum hand size prove useful, as if we bounce a few dragons and draw a few cards, it's easy to get full.
All in all, this deck is very fun at the right power level. Despite being built around an infinite combo, it isn't near CDH due to the high mana cost of our commander, but the combination of combo and control can easily destroy a lot of lower powered decks. At my playgroup, it's about the right power level, so that's fine, but should I want to power down the deck, there's a solution baked right into the deck. Simply attacking with several flying dragons that draw cards is a great plan B. And if you swap out the combo for more dragons, it can just as easily become plan A and power down the deck sufficiently. I don't plan to, given the reason the deck exists in the first place, but I'm open to it. So that's how you combo off with dragons. Thanks so much for watching. More videos coming. They are coming at a slower pace now, but I will be continuing to put out videos on this channel of all sorts. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.